Okay, on this video I'm going to talk about how to collect all your characters, and then a gate will open up and then you can move to the next room. If you don't collect all your characters, then the gate won't open up and you can't move on to the next room. You have friends at the top, which that means you collect all your friends, and then you in that room, and then the gate opens up, so you see your indicator at the top, how many friends you collected. Then you time, you only have 30 seconds, and if you don't get it done in 30 seconds, then the game ends. So let's begin here. I'll show you, and then I'll go into detail about how I did that. So it doesn't matter who you collect first. And I also save too. So it's already saved, automatically saved. I'm going to go ahead and load it back up. See how it loads it back up to having 3 friends as you begin the stage. And then your timer starts again. Load. Alright. So, yeah, so you're able to save it too. Save and load it. I'll show you how to do that too. So, this may be a part 1 of part 2 video because it's kind of a lot. There's a lot of things going on with it. We'll see what happens. Alright, so in the object good, my character, you know, he's stationary. He's not going to move until you press the control buttons that are down here. If the left pressed, goes left, 10 speed, and then you have the up, right. I'm not going to go into detail with that. It's just the normal thing I've talked about before in the past. Alright, and you have the release buttons. Alright, so then, let's see, now you have your gate that is basically, if you go up against the gate, you won't be able to go through it because you'll stop stationary, direction 0, so you won't be able to go through it. The gate is solid, so you can't go through it. And then it's at -3. So to do this, so what this is basically, if I got this drag and drop icon in the control tab, so it's test instance count. So what this means is that once you collect this object, all the objects of this particular name in the room, once that equals 0, once you have everything collected in that room and it equals 0, then the gate will be destroyed. Now you could do a switch where it switches another gate where it opens up automatically, so you can duplicate, copy this gate, and then like I said, you could have an animation happen where it switches. You could use the switch drop down and change this gate to one that will open up, and it would show an animation of it open up. You could do that, or you could just do a destroy. Doesn't matter. But this object collect is right here, and this object collect is not, it's in the game, but it's not visible, and it's at -3. So let me show you what I'm talking about there. So in the room you have your people, right? But the people, they matter, but not as much as this. These are called the object collects. So under your people you have these object collects, and they're not visible. So this is what matters. You're collecting all these in the room, and then the gate will be destroyed. So if you don't collect all the object collects, the gate won't open. It doesn't matter what order you do it in. You can collect this one first, or this one first, or this one first, this one last, whatever. So, but you want to make sure that your person lines up with object collect, because this is what's important. This is important too, but this is the most important thing. But you know, the main thing is collecting all your people. moving to the next room. So what you do is you're collecting both at the same time, and you put the people on top. So like I said, if you were to do this differently, like you would have some men to collect and some women to collect, you would do the same thing. You would put them over on top of your object collect and make sure it lines up exactly precise, because you want to make sure you collect both of them at the same time. You don't want to collect your person and not collect the object collect, or whatever you call it, because then the game won't open up even though you collect your people. So, and like I said, I did it for this reason, using an object collect with one particular image object, because like I said, it makes sense just to collect that. You can't collect two different things and then expect the gate to open up. It's only going to be referred to one object, and that's what this is. There's not another object in here where you can collect your people too. There's only one specific thing they want you to collect. It only has one space, but one object in there. So, and you can't. Probably could put another test instant count in here too, but I haven't done that, and I don't know if that's going to work or not. So I would just use the test instant count 1. Just use one of these drag and drops. I wouldn't put another one in there because I haven't messed with 2 of them, but I know it'll work with 1. So you can have as many people as you want on there. Just make sure that you put them on top of the object collect, or whatever you call it, because that's what's important, the object collect. So once you collect all the object collects in the room, and that means it's reached 0 now because you only had 3 in there, then the gate will open up. If you have 5 in there, you collect all 5, and then basically it hits 0 because you collect all of them, and make sure it's equal to, then it'll open up. Alright, so on my person here, so you destroy other, your object collect, make sure you say destroy other. Don't say self, because then it'll destroy all of them when you collect one. Say collect other. And then same thing with your person, your people, make sure you destroy other, not self, because you only want to collect that one person at a time. You don't want to collect one and destroy the other ones. So make sure you set it to other, and then you have a var here in the control tab, and this says global.friends. Your value equals 1, and you set it to relative. So this right here is going, I'll talk about this more, but this is going to pertain to your text at the top. When you collect a person, then your text is going to change from 0 to 1. And this is also going to be helpful where you have to copy this and put it into your save and your load as well. So when you load your game, then it'll tell you how many friends you already collected. Game Maker has a save and a load icon, but they're very basic, and the only thing it states is the file name. That's all they give you. And when you do a load, it does the same thing. It just says save game. So whatever you name this has to be named the same in the load. But disregard what I say about the save and load. We're not using that feature because it's very basic and it doesn't work. I've already tried it and it doesn't do anything. So I have to do a save and load a different way, a different approach, which is a little more complex, but it works. I don't know, I know the save and load works fine in Game Maker 8.1, but it doesn't work fine in Game Maker Studios for some reason. I don't know why they didn't get rid of it or fix the bugs, but I'm not using these icons because they don't work. Not in this example anyways. Alright, so then we got this object when, so this box right here makes you go to the next room, and that is this image right here, and it's not visible. It's not visible here. So once you hit this object when, you go to the next room. That's how that's set up. if you wanted to drag it over here, and then once you get to the very end of the screen and then hit this, go to the next room, or you can just put it right after the gate opens up. You go in here and then jump to the next room. You can also do a collision mask where you can change it to like right here. You hit it right there and then you go to the next room. But I probably wouldn't do that since I stretched the image. I stretched this image out, so GameMaker can be kind of glitchy with, if I stretched it out and then I try and mess with the mask, it may or may not work. If you make this image a lot larger and then you do the collision, then you do this right here, then it probably worked better. Because I don't know, with stretching the image, because it was a small square and I stretched it out and then try to do a different collision with it, there might be a glitch in it. You could try it and see. Maybe not. You're able to stretch a small image larger so it saves file space, but like I said, with the collision, it may or may not work if you change this. Since you have a small image and then you drag it out and you try to do a collision with it, it may, like when you try to change it here and you hit this instead of this area right here, may have an issue with it. I don't know, but I would just leave it the full image. Alright, and then we got the load, which I don't need an image for. It's right here, this question mark here. So there's a load there, and there's not a save. I don't have a save in this one. It saves in the next room. So in the load, it's going to load the timer, and I'm going to destroy the timer. So, because what you want to do is you don't want to save it, like your timer is like maybe at 13 seconds and you're about to pretty much die. So when you load it, you don't want it to go back to 13 seconds. You want it to jump back to 30 seconds, so you still have a chance to collect all your characters and move to the next room. So what's happening here is when I press the L button to load it, it's going to destroy the timer. And this is the timer right here. The timer has called global.timer equals 0, which, you know what, this doesn't matter anymore. You can disregard what I said here. I'm going to delete this because I originally had this set up for to save it and it didn't work correctly, so I have to do it a different route like I'm talking about now. So I'm going to delete this. That's not necessary. This is important right here. So drag over a coded sheet, and then you have your seconds, your minutes, your hours, and then alarm 0 hits and equals to a speed. It goes to alarm 0 here, and then it starts counting down. You have 30 seconds here. You could change it to minutes, you could change it to hours, you could change that to 1 for 1 hour and 30 seconds, whatever you want. So then it jumps to alarm 0 and it does all this. So all this right here is doing is calculating your seconds. So it's jumping down 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, and that's what this is talking about right here. So it's doing it in the correct fashion for counting down. Then so basically, if it reaches 0, that's what it's saying here. If your minutes or seconds or whatever or hours reach 0, then it's going to end game. So you could change this in game to you could change it to like room go to, and then put in room 2 or something, and you could delete this right here. So if you wanted to if you wanted it to go to a room and say game over, you could do that, and you could just grade that out so it's not important, whatever you want to do. So I'm just I'll leave that in there, but right now I'll just keep that as game end. But you could have it go to like room, you could make a new room and say game over or time's up or something. You could do that, and then you could press the back key or exit button to get out of the game, whatever you want to do. And then I have a draw event, and then this is drawing your time right here. So this is your positioning on your X and Y coordinates where your time's going to be drawn out on screen. You can change these numbers here wherever you want it on your screen at. So this is going to do, it's going to draw your time, it's going to draw your minutes, your seconds, your hours, or whatever. This is what this code's doing here. Depth -50, make sure it's visible. Okay, so now let me go back to the load. So the load, what's happening here is it's going to load. What's happening here is it's loading your room, and so whatever room you're in, it's going to basically load that up. It's going to load your score, and in your score, it's basically your friends. See how I have it? See how that is important? Global.friends. So make sure that it's set to global.friends because that's what you named it. And your people. No, it's not your people. It's it's under friend block. Their friend block here. This is your text at the top. So I named it global.friends equals 0 because that's what you start out with. You have no friends at all until you collect them. And then you have this text information right here. It says you're drawing your text at X and Y coordinates at 110 on the Y, and the X it's 100, Y is at 10. You label it friends. That's because that's what you're collecting, and then your string is global.friends. So that's where that global comes from. This makes it, project on the screen. And then I have a font that I chose here in your fonts. I created a font. And you choose all of these different fonts here. Make it bold, change the size of it. And then the font is in the draw tab. Drag over a font. And then you find your font 0, that's what it's called, font 0. Line to the left. And then you choose your color, chose yellow. That will do both colors. I don't know how to make two different types of colors. You have, the color will be the same for the friends, and it'll be also the same color for the timer. I've tried to change the color in the timer or friends, and GameMaker won't allow you to use one color for some reason. I've tried to do it through code or through the drop down, and you can only choose one color for some reason. Okay, so that's what's happening here. It's going to project friends at the top, and it's going to be equal to 0 because you have no friends before you collect them. So you have no friends, so it's going to be 0 for right now. Your friends. All right. Make sure I had it set to persistent. Make sure it's visible. So persistent means that you can have it in one room, and then you don't have to drag the same green block in the second room, third room, fourth room, whatever. You just put it in the first room, and persistent will project it and put it in the other rooms for you without you having to do that yourself. So that's what persistence represents. You just put it in the first room, and then it will put it in the other rooms for you automatically when you have that checked. Alright, and then I could have done the same thing here. I could have made this persistent for load, but I didn't do that. So that's what's happening here. It's going to save your global friends. So whatever you collected, it's going to save that, and it's going to save the room that you're in. That's what it's doing. And it's going, and that's all this is doing. And then it's going to close your load information so your memory doesn't leak and all that stuff. So that's important to have that in there. Alright, and then it's also going to destroy your timer. Like I said, it's going to destroy your timer, and then it's going to recreate your timer. Create instance. Create instance is going to be right here in the main one tab. Drag that over, and it's going to read. And it's going to basically delete your object timer and then put it back on screen just like that. So when that happens, it resets it and puts it at 30 seconds. That's what it's pretty much doing. It's resetting your time, because that's what you want. You don't want it to save at 13 millis. You don't want it to save at 13 seconds. You want it to go back to 30 seconds when you load it back up. So you delete the timer and then you put it back. That's what's happening here. Now, the last thing to talk about is your save. So in the first room, you just have a load. You don't have a save because it's the first room. Why would you have a save in the first room? It doesn't make sense. So you would have a save in the room 1, and you have a save in the room 2. So now you have both load and save now. That's your timer. And so in your save, do a create, do a coded sheet. Now what's going to happen here, it's going to save, it's saving your game, whatever room you're in at. That's what it's doing here. And it's also going to save your global friends. Now if you had a score in here, you would have to do another script like this right here, where it says in write real. You would have to do another script. This is probably score global.score or something, and then you have to do the same thing for your load. You would have to also put a script in here for your code for your score too. So you would have global.score equals this real here, save game, then score. This probably should be something else. It should be saying friends or something, not score. I don't know if it would mess up or not. Let me see what happens when I do that. Because it shouldn't really say score, it should say friends. I wouldn't save here, I would save the next room. Yeah, so that worked fine. Yep, so your time jumped back to 30 when you loaded it, and then you started with 8 friends when you came in the room the first time. And then, like I said, this won't save. It'll load back up. But if you had another room, it would save all the stuff that you collected here. I don't have another room. But that's it. That's pretty much it. I think I talked about everything here. And I've talked about timer before in the past, so if you want to look at my other video, you can look at my other video on timer. I just went over this kind of quickly, but you got the rough idea. Like I said, you can download my tutorial here, download this GMX file and play around with it yourself. I put the code there in YouTube so you can look at the code and the description. See the timer, I could have made that persistent. I didn't have to put it in every room, but I did. Alright. Thanks for watching.